How's it going, traders? Hopefully you guys enjoy this weekly Forex forecast, and make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Alright, starting things off with the US dollar index, and there is no Cot Report this week because the Cot Report has been released late for some technical difficulties, so I do apologize for that. And remember, if you do want my Cot Report spreadsheet, it is available on my Patreon, links in the description down below. Now, the reason we've seen the US dollar rally this week, in my opinion, is because of this weekly area of demand at 101.118 that I've pointed out in a couple of my last forecasts, and I said definitely watch out for price to move up if we do contact that weekly area of demand on the US dollar. So now that we've contacted that weekly area of demand, and I believe it is monthly demand as well, let me just take a look. Monthly demand, it's piercing through monthly demand, but at the end of the day, it is weekly demand. So we have a higher time frame demand zone in control right now, but it doesn't mean we should just start to look for longs on the US dollar. If we pop into a daily chart here, you can clearly see we are just reacting off of this daily supply again. Basically, for the second time, we almost wicked into it right here, but we are coming in for a test at this daily area of supply at 103.001. So it is definitely possible that even though, yes, we are reacting off of weekly demand down below, that we do react to the downside off of this daily supply. Now, weekly demand down below is stronger than daily supply, so we could see this supply zone break. As far as being bullish the US dollar, I wouldn't be bullish until we can at least see this daily supply removed. And if we go to a 4-hour chart, I would also like to see something like this take place on the 4-hour chart where, yes, we remove the daily supply, but not only that, we get a clear peak, a clear valley, and a clear trend line, which we could call a 4-hour uptrend. Then at that point, since we have a 4-hour uptrend with daily supply removed, at that point, longs on the US dollar on day trading timeframes will be okay. But like I said, we need to see that daily supply zone removed first on the US dollar before we just hop on long the US dollar, because at the end of the day, the trends are to the downside and the momentum is clearly to the downside on the DXY. All right, onto the forecast for the Euro US dollar. And before we get into this analysis, I just want to show you the higher time frame dilemma that we are currently experiencing in the Euro US dollar. This is a 3-month chart of the Euro US dollar. I know this is a high macro chart, but it is very important. And what I'm seeing here is a clear downtrend that basically began in like 2014 on the macro chart level, where we have a very clear downtrend. We have 3-month area of supply holding, and not only that, we are actually contacting this 3-month area of supply again. We almost hit it this past week. You can pretty much call it in control, but at the end of the day, we have not only a 3-month downtrend, but 3-month supply basically in control. So in my opinion, we could see the Euro US dollar rally to the downside off of that 3-month area of supply. But the dilemma that I'm having is if you come to the highest time frame possible, which is the 12-month chart, this whole thing you're looking at here goes all the way back to basically 1970. So what I'm looking at here, we had a 12-month area of demand on the Euro US dollar, and we reacted beautifully off of this 12-month area of demand. But we lost the upward momentum here, where we had an upward trend line. We danced around the trend line right here, and we actually broke below it, but we reacted off of the 12-month area of demand. So 12-month demand is in control on the euro. So it's very possible that we could rally even higher based on 12-month demand being in control, but we could also rally off of that 3-month supply back down to the 12-month area of demand. So that is what I am thinking could happen here on the Euro US dollar. And if we look at a weekly chart here, like I said, the 3-month area of supply that I just pointed out to you guys is right up above here. We almost contacted it, but clearly we are pushing down, and we're seeing the euro get a little bit weak. Now we are about to contact this weekly area of demand that is new at 1.07. So if you do believe the euro is going to go up, what we could do is look for longs in this weekly area of demand at 1.07 to the upside on lower time frames. Or if you do believe we are going to continue to fall, what I've noticed here on the 4-hour chart and the 1-hour chart, we are starting to see momentum shift to the downside, with a 1 hour downtrend basically. So what we could be doing is essentially we could be looking for day trade shorts all the way down to this weekly demand at 1.07. So if you are going to short the euro, I only really think shorting on day trading timeframes like a 1 minute or a 5 minute chart makes sense, all the way down to this weekly area of supply. As far as what I'm looking for swing trading, I do think we will react. Well, I think we already have reacted off this 3-month supply, and we will be pushing back down to that 12-month demand zone. So I do think we'll probably break this weekly demand. So what I'm waiting for on the euro is basically for that to take place, or evidence on the lower time frames, which would be a clear 4-hour downtrend or something like that, where we can hopefully hop on short the euro and start to build a short position down to that 12-month area of demand. All right, on to the forecast for gold. But first, just want to congratulate Michael Cohen, who won the giveaway for the silver membership last week, who commented in last week's video. I do appreciate every single comment. I responded to every single one, so I really appreciate all the comments. Let's do it again this week. Winner will be announced next week. I'll be giving away a bronze membership. So congratulations to you, Michael, who won everything you see on the screen that's involving the silver membership. And like I said, comment again this week what you think will happen on gold this next week. If we do push down to this weekly demand, I want to hear your thoughts on, will this demand hold and we push up to all-time highs? Will it break? Will it hold and push up to the weekly supply and then push down again? I want to hear your thoughts again. So that, I can give away another bronze membership. So Michael, get a hold of me on Discord and I will send you everything involved in the silver membership. So looking at gold now, like we talked about, we are reacting off weekly supply. I am putting a lot of faith in this weekly demand at 1811. But in the meantime, we do have downward pressure. Just looking at this weekly chart, so we could be day trading. I'm not a day trader, but I know a lot of you guys are. So right now, since we have trends on the lower time frames, we could be day trading short down to 1811, where we look to take profit. That is definitely on the table. Me as a swing trader, since I do believe we will react positively off of this weekly demand zone, I am just waiting for this demand zone to be hit, and then I will look for longs on a 4-hour chart or a daily chart coming off of that weekly area of demand. Now, if we pop into a 4-hour chart, you can clearly see we lost momentum. We do have a pretty nice 4-hour area of supply at 1911. You could use this 4-hour supply because technically this 4-hour supply is your confirmation coming off of that weekly area of supply. So we could use this 4-hour supply zone and look for a day trade short in. That is definitely one option. Or we have, if you pop into the 1-hour chart here, I'm not really calling this a downtrend, but clearly the momentum is down on the 1-hour chart. So we could be looking for shorts on like a 1 minute or a 5 minute chart down to that weekly area of demand at 1811 on gold. And like I said, if you are a swing trader, I think looking for longs is better than looking for shorts, even though, yes, we are at the high. But at the end of the day, we have macro uptrends on gold, 3-month demand into control. So I do believe this weekly demand will be hit. And as a swing trader, I'm looking for longs inside this weekly demand. So for me, it's just being patient until we hit that weekly area of demand. The forecast for the USDJPY, and don't forget, if you are enjoying this forecast, I would really appreciate a thumbs up and a subscribe if you are not subscribed yet. Now, looking at USD yen here, this chart actually looks very similar to just the overall DXY, where we have the weekly demand at 128.299, and we are currently reacting positively off of this weekly area of demand. So there is a reason why you might want to look for longs on the USD Japanese yen. The safest type of confirmation, and I brought this up in last week's forecast, is looking at this daily chart here. The safest confirmation long would look something like this, where we can at least remove this daily area of supply that's located at 131, and we're basically reacting off of it right now. So the safest confirmation, like I said, would be to see this daily supply removed. Now, as far as shorts go, if you do believe we will continue to see the USD yen continue to fall, it is definitely nerve-wracking because weekly demand is in control, but you could technically look for a 1-hour confirmation trade short coming off of this daily supply. But as far as longs go, we need to see this daily supply removed. That is the most conservative confirmation. The more aggressive route is something like this. If we pop into the 4-hour chart, I'm seeing a few things here. One, I'm seeing this 4-hour supply at 131.425 and reaction perfectly off of that supply zone. Now, if we don't pull back to this 4-hour demand. And if we do pull back to this 4-hour demand, you could certainly look for a 15-minute confirmation trade long coming off of that 4-hour demand at 128.82. So day trade longs are okay in that 4-hour demand zone. Or if we do get basing and a break above this 4-hour supply zone, and if we're left with 4-hour demand, you could do the same thing at this demand zone that I just brought up that you could do at this demand zone. So we're either waiting for new demand to be formed up here, or we're waiting for that pullback down to this demand where we can possibly get in long down there. All right, looking at GBPUSD forecast. In last week's forecast, I did point out this 1-hour area of supply, and I said in order for us to get in long, we need to see this supply taken out first before we just start to acquire long positions in the pound US dollar. But look at the reaction we had off of this 1-hour supply zone. Multiple times we reacted off of it. We pushed down. We never got that confirmation. So I just wanted to point out that, you know, in these forecasts, you shouldn't just be looking for, oh, where is FX Telepath telling me I should be buying? It's a lot of it is when we shouldn't be buying or what we need to see removed before we continue to buy. So just wanted to point that out and the significance of supply and demand zones. Now looking at the pound on the 4-chart layout here, we clearly had momentum to the upside, but we've clearly lost it. If you look at a daily chart here, we just broke below the trend line. I'm not going to call this trend line removed yet, but it basically is. It does look like we will be pushing down. Now, the question that I'm going to be asking myself in the next couple of weeks here in the pound, if we continue to see downward pressure, is are we pulling back to weekly demand at 1.15? It is definitely possible that that is what we are seeing for a bigger push up long term in the pound. Nothing just goes straight up. If the institutions have the idea to push the pound up to 1.4 or something like that, well, they're going to need to push price higher and lower along the way. So my question now is this momentum to the downside we're seeing on the pound, is that the pullback to weekly demand at 1.15? I am not sure. Let me know in the comments down below what you think is happening on the pound. But at the end of the day, we do have a lower time frame downtrend where we have a 1-hour downtrend. So we could be on day trading time frames looking for shorts to the downside. I think that's completely fine. There is also this 1-hour supply zone at 1.22. We could look for a 1-hour confirmation short coming off of these two supply zones right there down to that weekly area of demand. And that's what I would be doing. I don't feel comfortable buying the pound yet until we can see a 4-hour high removed, which would then give us that 4-hour uptrend again, which would prove to us that we are not pulling back to that weekly demand and that we are actually just going to continue to push up. And at that point, we will have the 4-hour trend continue again, and then I would feel comfortable getting in long. Either that, or I'm waiting for that weekly demand to be hit where I will start to build a long position in GBPUSD. All right, on to USDCAD. Right away, I'm just looking at the weekly chart on my top left screen right here. It's not super clear. Even the daily chart, not very clear at all. I do suspect we could pull back to 1.317 to that weekly area of demand. But in the meantime, for this forecast, I'm going to be focusing probably only on the 4-hour chart. Right now, we have a clean 4-hour downtrend. Yes, you could look for shorts coming off of this 4-hour supply, but it's so close to this trend line that I think we could actually see it spike through. So to be very clear, if we do start to pull down on the 4-hour chart here, you could start to hop on 15-minute shorts to the downside. I think that would be fine. So at the end of the what I'm basically trying to say on USDCAD here, since there's no weekly trend or daily trend, we have to rely on the 4-hour trend. Right now it is down. Although I do think we could spike above, I think it'll probably continue down based on what I'm seeing on the weekly chart, although it is very difficult to predict. So I would just trade whatever the 4-hour trend is showing you. And if we do get a demand zone here that is responsible for not only removing the two supply zones, but also the downward trend line, that would be a very strong 4-hour demand zone. And then we could look to potentially get in long at that 4-hour demand. Or if we get a 4-hour uptrend, we could switch to day trading longs. Or like I said earlier, if we do continue to push down, we could start to look for day trading shorts to continue to trade with that 4-hour downtrend. But like I said, the only trend I see is on the 4-hour chart. So we just need to be day trading along with the trends on the 4-hour and the 1-hour chart. AUDUSD forecast on the Aussie dollar here. We're looking at a 4-hour chart. we had very, very strong momentum to the upside, and we recently broke that upper momentum by this 4-hour supply zone at 0.70. Now, this is a very strong 4-hour supply zone. It doesn't mean we should just short the supply zone, but if we do get they pull back up to this 4-hour supply, you could certainly look for a short trade coming off of that 4-hour supply zone. And now, very similar to the pound, I have to ask myself on the Aussie US dollar, are we pushing, is this big giant weekly red candle here, is that the beginning phase of the move down to weekly demand at 0.649? Are we starting to see the pullback down to that demand where we can look for a long trade? It's kind of difficult to tell right now. The one piece of evidence I will need, well, I'll show you multiple pieces of evidence. And by the way, we are reacting off of daily demand. So if you don't think we will be pulling all the way back down to Aussie dollar and you think that this is just a minor pullback to the upside, that's completely fine. We are sitting inside daily demand at 0.694 that I have on my chart. We could be looking for a 1-hour confirmation trade to the long side. So if you are bullish on the Aussie, this is your zone to look for a confirmation trade on a 1-hour chart. So that would be my, if I was looking for longs, I would be doing it now on the Aussie. Now, if we do get this daily supply or daily demand removed, that is a good sign that we will be pulling all the way down to that weekly demand that I pointed out. So as far as shorts go, we need to wait for this daily demand to be removed first before we even consider shorting. And then at that point, we will also need a very clear 4-hour downtrend, which would be another indication that we will pull back to weekly demand, and at that point we could look for day trading shorts. So hopefully all of that makes sense on the Aussie dollar. There are a lot of trading opportunities right now. You could either, like I said, trade the pullback short to the 4-hour supply. You could be looking for a potential long trade coming off of daily demand, or if you think we're going to be pushing down to weekly demand, like I personally think we could be seeing, then we need to wait for the daily demand to be removed and a clear 4-hour downtrend for shorts. All right, USDCHF, very, very choppy chart on the weekly chart, my top left chart. It's just very choppy right now, so it's very difficult to tell what's going to be taking place. If we pop into a daily chart here, we are in daily supply, although it is tested almost 3/4 of the way in now, so it is looking pretty weak in my opinion. Now, as far as trading the USD Swiss goes, it's pretty much all going to have to be on the 4-hour chart. This is actually looking very similar to USDCAD, where yes, we could be looking for potential shorts coming off of this supply and look to take profit at this 4-hour demand, but it's really not high odds to do that. If we do get these two 4-hour supply zones removed, and if we're left with 4-hour demand, you could look to day trade inside that 4-hour demand zone if that takes place. Or if we push down to this 4-hour demand at 0.91, we could look for a 15-minute day trade confirmation long trade coming off of that 4-hour demand zone. So that's pretty much all I see here on USD Swiss. Not much else to say. It is kind of looking like we will break above this upward trend line. And like I said, if we do get a pullback to 4-hour demand, I will have that on my charts, by the way, for all of the YouTube Patreon members. I will have that demand on the charts, and we could potentially look for a long trade. But other than that, USD Swiss, not too clear. There are definitely better pairs to be trading this week. All right, last but not least, we are on to crude oil. And in last week's forecast, I talked about how it did look like we are basing up here for a push above this supply and downward trend line. But I'm very surprised to see we actually are pushing lower on oil. But that's completely fine. Oil is still looking extremely weak. I'm just a little surprised we didn't break above that daily downward trend line and that daily supply, because I did look like, if you look at the weekly chart, that we could easily push up to this weekly supply and then maybe get a bigger push down from there. But clearly, it looks like we are going to be pushing down a weekly demand before we start to maybe see oil start to push up. So in my opinion, it's shorts all the way down to that weekly demand at about $66 a barrel, 67. So if I was shorting, my long-term profit target would be about 67 a barrel. So if you do want to get in short, there are a few options. Let me just pop back in. So we do have a 1-hour downtrend. We could be looking for shorts on a 5-minute chart using set forget entries. That would be fine. If you want, you could look for a 15-minute short coming off of this 4-hour supply zone that's located at $76.07. That is another option, and that's pretty much all I see here on oil. I would just wait for pullbacks to supply if you do think we will short, if you do think we will continue to go down on oil, which is definitely possible. Like I said, profits should be taken around $67 a barrel, I think, is the safest bet. And as far as longs go, I wouldn't even consider getting in long until we can see this 4-hour chart start to change direction, where we get this 4-hour supply removed, get a lower low, higher high, or higher low, sorry, higher high, with peaks, valleys, and a 4-hour uptrend. Then at that point, I think hopping on long could be definitely a decent idea. The safest confirmation, though, would be this downward trend line being taken out, and not only that, but this supply zone as well. So oil, a little bit of confusing time this week, but I think shorts are definitely on the table still as far as day trading goes. Hopefully you guys found this weekly Forex forecast helpful. If you did, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like and check out the Patreon or YouTube membership if you need help finding your supply and demand zones. It's only $5 CAD per month. Hope to see you guys there, and hope to see you in the next video.